Hello, good morning. I hope that everybody is well and have had a good week. There is so much to talk about today that this might end up being 2 videos. We'll have to see how we go. Yesterday I released another little gem, and here she is, Agnes' husband, a very sweet Scottish sampler. Now Agnes is stitched just with cross stitch over 2 threads, and she's very suitable for Ada, Linada or linen, and for needleworkers of all abilities. Even though she's only used 3 colours and cross stitch, she has created a beautiful sampler. I particularly like the dividing rows between the alphabets and the initials. She's been very creative with some of those. Very, very pretty. So Agnes is available on the Hands Across the Sea Samplers website for an instant PDF download, and she is also available from selected stores. If there are stores that don't stock our little gems, all they need to do is contact us to talk about having access to the downloads. Now Agnes only used 3 colours, a lovely red, a green and a mellowed black. The black isn't a harsh black, it's slightly mellowed. We are aware that there is a shortage globally of Auvers à Soie silks, and the distributors are waiting for new supplies of 2 colours, and that's one from the 103 range and one from the Diligence range. So in the thread legend we do offer you alternatives for those. I stitched Agnes on Legacy Linen Foxtail Millet, which is 45 count, and I use Soie 103 from Auvers à Soie, but in the little download you have a conversion for Soie d'Alger and for DMC. And even if you are going to be stitching this on 14 count Ada or 28 count linen, you only need 1 skein or spool of each colour, and really you only need almost a scrap of fabric to stitch her on. So this is going to be a very inexpensive stitch for you. The stitch count is only 52 stitches wide by 205 stitches high. So if you stitch Agnes on 14 count Ada, 28 count linen, the design is only going to be 3.71 inches by 14.64 inches. If you stitched her on 36 count linen, which is 18 count Ada, she's going to be 2.89 inches by 11.39. If you stitch her on 46 count linen, I used 45 count linen, she will be 2.26 by 8.91. Recently, somebody left a comment on one of the Hands Across the Sea Samplers posts saying, could we mention in our booklets what orientation the linen should be in when using uneven weave linen. So in our booklets now we do state that, and if you are stitching Agnes on uneven count of linen, then you should have the lower count on the horizontal, because a lower count means that you fit fewer cross stitches into the inch, so it pushes out the design. The higher count means that you can fit more cross stitches into the inch, so it contracts the design. And what I've also done besides the fabric sizes for 28, 30, 32, 36, 40, 46, 56, I have also put in the design and fabric sizes for 52, 62 count linen as well for you. That's really about the technical side of Agnes, but gosh, there was so much to discover about Agnes' husband. Agnes, on her little sampler, recorded her name, her age, which was 11, the date the sampler was stitched, which was 1862, which meant that she was born in 1851, and the place that she lived, which was Wigton, W-I-G-T-O-N. And this sampler can be nothing other than a Scottish sampler. So we know that she came from Wigton in Scotland. And what's very interesting is that there was another town called Wigton in one of the northern counties of England, close to the border with Scotland, and apparently it caused a lot of confusion with the British postal system. So they changed the name of Wigton in Scotland to Wigtown. I love little bits of trivia of information. Now, Agnes, as we know, was born in 1851, and we found her parents, her grandparents, and her brothers and sisters, and we can account for all the family initials bar the last two. So what we have, we start with PA, and PA is in black. And that signifies that that person was deceased when Agnes stitched her sampler. And PA was Peter Anderson, her maternal grandfather. Then AA was Agnes Anderson, her paternal grandmother. JWH was James William husband, her father. And MFH was Margaret Fair, husband, her mother. And we can go right the way through all these family initials to the last child or sibling that was born up until the date that she stitched the sampler, and that was John husband, who was born in 1861, and that's the last initial that we can find. Then we have CDH and MEH, and they remain a mystery, but no doubt they are on her father's side of the family. It might be an uncle and an aunt, we don't know. It was a big family because after she stitched this sampler, there were another 3 children born to James and Margaret. James, her father, was a school teacher, and he was also a town councillor, and he was in charge of the town's stamp office, which was a position of great responsibility because stamp duty is a form of taxation in Great Britain. And he was also a life insurance agent, and with all the children he had, he needed to produce an income to support them all. I believe that they were a middling class of family because her brothers went on to be professionals, solicitors, accountants, managers of asset companies. Now Agnes, she never married, and she lived with her father until he died. And he died in... got the date in here. He died in 1898, and then Agnes, as a spinster, and there were not that many opportunities open to spinsters at that time, went as a housekeeper to a solicitor and a justice of the peace in Glasgow. We know that Agnes retired back to Wigton, and she passed away in 1928 when she was visiting her sister in Edinburgh. But she was buried at Wigton. I always like finding out about the little girls, because it makes you, or it helps you understand them and feel closer to them, and it's always nice to know what happened to them. I always think that, you know, when we're children, we haven't had life's knocks, so we have all these dreams of what our life is going to be like, and often our life turns out completely differently to how we thought it would be when we were children. Yeah, I really enjoyed researching Agnes. Now, her father was a very interesting man, and when I was researching him, he was listed as being the school teacher for, and the only school teacher for, the normal school. And I thought, normal school? What's that? You know, it's and it turned out it's not a school that is normal. The actual title of the school was a normal school, and it took a lot of research, because if you put into Google normal school Scotland or normal school Wigton, it brought up about normal things for schools. But I did manage to find out what a normal school was, and I write about it in the little download under the trivia section. So if you are interested in early education, and particularly the education system in Scotland, there's some interesting things for you to find out about. And I actually spoke to some friends of mine who are school teachers, and they had never heard of that. And last night I also spoke to a friend whose husband is a school teacher in Scotland, and he had never heard about normal schools before. You see, these samplers, they take you down rabbit holes, and you broaden your knowledge. There we are. With alphabet samplers, I actually find them really interesting and therapeutic to stitch. And this little sampler literally took me 3 evening sessions to stitch. It wasn't a very long stitch for me, but for a little girl in school, it would have probably have taken her some time, or many needlework lessons to stitch. And it reminds me of the quotation, "What we hope ever to do with ease, we must learn first to do with diligence." And these alphabet samplers, they were about the little girls learning to apply themselves. And it was all about, diligence with the needle. And if as a child we learn diligence with a needle, it helps prepares us for life ahead, because life is not easy for any of us. We all have to work, and we have to show diligence with our work and our duties, and particularly as women and mothers caring for our families, we do have to show great diligence. And these little girls were learning that with their needlework. So anyway, I'm going to start to waffle now. I hope you enjoy Agnes as much as I have. And don't forget, with Agnes, the original sampler, which is here, you can see it is quite a little bit bigger than the one that I stitched on 48 count. I think this was probably stitched on something more closer to 28, 30 count, and really what I should have done was measure it before I started this video, but maybe I can mention that in a later video. Remember, this original sampler is one of the giveaway prizes for the draw that we are having at the end of the year. for everybody who stitches and finishes a Hands Across the Sea sampler in 2020. So you know, it's possible for you to stitch Agnes and maybe be the lucky winner of the original Agnes. So she is delightful. Anyway, now this video is standing at about 15 minutes. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to end this video and start another video. We have tremendous problems with our internet, and a 15-minute video will probably take me around about 3 hours to upload. That's how slow our internet is at the moment. So please watch the next video. I have got so much to show you. I've got some brand new linen to show you. Be back in a moment. Bye-bye.